Greetings, I'm John Spirit, we've got science to do, and welcome to Factorio modded Supershorts. Seaweed, and 6 of it. My wood system will involve normal inserters as opposed to mechanical inserters for reasons involving speed. Moss feeds the botanical nursery, which will also be fed by tree seeds, which will be fed by wood from the wood processing units, which have a priority output splitter, so that the output of the wood first goes to the inserter putting wood into the tree seedlings, and then goes to join the rest of the factory. The wood processing units will be fed by 2 mechanical inserters pulling logs from these 2 output loggers from the fastwood forestries. Tree seedlings will feed down onto this transport belt on the top side, and I'm going to bring down ash somehow. YAFC says that to create all the steam I need for the latex, I need 2.74 coal per second, which is number 1, a lot of coal per second, but number 2, a lot of ash per second, and that will provide the ash I need for my wood. Scratch that, I apparently need 5 raw coal per second, which is actually more ash than I need, so I'll just throw some of it out with great sadness and wonder what I will do with it all. Good news, now that this iron chest is empty of native flora, I can bring this native flora down and supply my automation science factory forever and ever and ever. In weird news, I apparently forgot to extract the rocks from these rock paddocks, but I have fixed that problem. I did forget that I need 25 trees each for these fastwood forest trees, so I'm gonna have to make a ton of tree seedlings to make all those trees. Thankfully, I have all the moss I need for that. I just needed to plug in some logs into this system in hopes that that should be enough. 4 limestone soil extractors will dump their products onto the sap line. A washer will use the limestone and the sap to produce creamy latex. A splitter will only allow limestone on the bottom here, so that the remaining limestone will come out and do its thing, while the sap only goes to its one required place, the washer. Alright, we've got limestone popping onto the belt now, and dumping into the creamy latex creator. The limestone and seaweed will have a new grand joining right here, as they will eventually both be needed for pierogi. But they will also both be needed for sodium alginate. That said, in the extreme compactness of my setup, I seem to have lost my way to fit the stone and bring it somewhere around. Such a mess, oh my god. How do I do this? By forcing the moss onto only the right side of the belt up here, I can accomplish a temporary joining of stone to moss, which will come out up here as just stone on the top and moss on the bottom. Truly, my genius knows no bounds. Now, the buck stops for stone as soon as it's used to make sodium alginate in this high-pressure furnace, so I might as well bring up my limestone and seaweed to pass right by it. After this, seaweed and limestone will need to find their own way to other stuff, but I'm going to remove the sodium alginate and put it in, well, I'll put it in a place. I will tell you when. I require a slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse, it's being made. The benefit of the slaughterhouse is death. It's an interesting selection screen, but it's, yeah, very nice. Now, in order to slaughter a rock, you need to cage it first, so I guess it doesn't fight back or whatever. Thankfully, whenever you slaughter a caged rock, you get its cage back, so you can just cage the rock again. So I need to make some cages for myself, and now I have like 4 cages floating in this system. Incidentally, some of these interesting items act as fuels. So when I run out of coke in this assembling machine, the items from the full rendering will hopefully act as fuel. Just to make absolutely certain, I'm going to have an inserter here that will blacklist cages and then dump some of the stuff with an output priority splitter into the assembling machine, and this chute will hopefully feed it in as fuel when the coke is all gone. The rest will go into the steel chest. Now the question is whether all of these things have fuel. Turns out only the meat does, so I'm going to output priority this on meat specifically. The problem with this is that the meat is just all going to go in here and eventually it'll clog up, which is not good. So I'm going to pull more dumb splitter shenanigans by putting an output priority on the left here and then dumping the remaining meat, once the meat is clogged up in the chute, into this steel chest again. Also with a chute, because I just seem to love those. The last thing we'll get is formic acid. This formic acid will come down into our latex slab maker, joined by creamy latex and the sodium alginate that I promised you would go somewhere. Now I just need to stick this latex slab into a high pressure furnace with a ton of steam. So this is where confusion and sadness comes in. 2 raw coal burner mining drills, not gonna cut it. I need like 5 more, no, like 3 more, 4 more. I am just gonna put 4 more burner mining drills down. Just for funsies, I'm going to make this system a cute little friend to the system right beside it. Wow, look at all these circuits I have. I would shut off the system, but I need them all, because I'll probably need them someday. This is probably like the one thing I'll buffer, along with science. Circuits and science. Anyway, coal is going to get pumping into these friendly boilers. Steam will be brought down a very long way to the 2 high-pressure furnaces here. I'll bring ash alongside them in a little bit. I do have a belt that I can take them from right here. Honestly, now is actually as good a time to do it as any, and now I have a mechanical inserter pulling ash in a curved way thanks to Bob's inserters into these fastwood forestries from this belt. Big old belt. Alright, water is now going to these boilers, which means steam is being produced. Turns out meat totally cannot fuel assembling machines. This is just the biggest sad of all time. I just have to hope Coke is enough. Big sad. Big, enormous sad. But hey, I have my slaughterhouse running. I also have everything else running, including this reductive distillation column, which I need to supply latex slabs to all the latex stuff. There we go. Yay! Now all we need to do is blend latex and some coal, and we'll have our tasty rubber stoppers. In another arduously long journey, I need to somehow bring the output of 4 crystal mines. Well, you know what? I can turn to crushed quartz up here. Wait, no, what am I saying? I need to turn crushed quartz into glass, but all of my syngas for doing that is right here. So why should I worry? Hell, I can bring the crushed quartz right here, turn it into glass right here, and then take all the molten glass and turn it into the other shit down here. We do, however, have a small problem. I have discovered that in the production of crushed quartz, I produce some stone, and that stone is actually supposed to... It's included in the calculations for the stone being used by this entire system, which is distressing. There is a way to solve this, and it is a very happy way. It turns out that I can just feed this stone into the stone brick for the automation science packs up here, because the automation science packs need like 0.67 stone worth. But I still have to drag it all the way down somehow. That must mean it is time for my signature solution. Combining belts again. Ha 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 ha. First off, I need 4 crystal mines, which is a lot of iron apparently. While I wait for enough copper and iron for these crystal mines, I also need duralumin, 15 duralumin, in order to make jaw crushers. Thankfully, I do not require exorbitant quantities of duralumin, so the tiny amount of copper I currently have will suffice. Except that the jaw crusher also requires copper, something I did not think about in my immense cleverness. While we wait for copper, I am happy to inform you of the hilarious fact that meat, although it has a fuel value of 2.0 megajoules, is only used to fuel animal cars. How fun! Anyway, time to make all my trees so I can run my tree farms with all this ash that I'm currently not using and niche them into a chest. Oh, so sad. I cannot wait to get the burner research, which is literally the first thing I'm going to research, so I can throw ash into the burner and kill it, and murder it, and dye it. Goodbye. Alright, I'm making my last crystal mine and my jaw crusher. Fact 1, my crystal mines will go here. Fact 2, my jaw crusher will go here with a chute and will make quartz into crushed quartz. Fact 3, stone will split in this splitter onto this line, which will combine with the native flora line. This very silly combination will be corrected down here, where only stone will be led through to this transport belt. An input priority on this splitter will focus on the right, so that stone from up here goes down here first. Meanwhile, crushed quartz will take its own hilariously silly journey to the glassworks, where it will be consumed and melted into molten glass. Seaweed will end its journey in this agar high-pressure furnace. Agar will hit this underground belt and get pulled into these petri dish crafters, but first I need empty petri dishes to be brought down as well. These mechanical inserters will pull those in. And as you may have begun to expect, to your dismay, I will stick a glassworks here with which to make the petri dishes. Isn't it beautiful? Now that I have disabused you of the notion that my Demo 2 cannot get any worse, it's time to bring the glass and the syngas all the way down there. Okay, we've got glass and syngas going into this petri dish glassworks, which will now supply both of these petri dish assembling machines, which I should probably stick some coke into. These petri dish assembling machines will get their 100 coke each, and now I require just over 3 microorganism mines, which is mildly annoying because I was hoping it would just be 2, but it's 2.22, which is terrible. The terrible 2s! As always, I have forgotten to blacklist ash, so I have lots of ash on my little petri dish conveyor. Anyway, my microorganism mines are now running. Meanwhile, 2 high-pressure furnaces will produce cellulose using limestone and the wood I'm about to bring up from down here. Cellulose will join the moss on this transport belt, and with a dose of coke, we will start making basic substrate. Amazing! All we need left is to bring this coal down the very long way it needs to take to join its latex into rubber stoppers. Coal is now coming down to join the rubber stoppers, which will pop right into this glassworks making glassware. Now all I need to do is make a research center, and with basic substrate and glassware in the research center, I will have PyScience packs. Amazing! Although I lovingly call this a hideous monstrosity, really it is just that lovely thing, spaghetti. But the further on I consider my future in this mod pack, the more I understand that spaghetti is sort of eventually going to become an outdated concept. Sort of. As processing of ores and things becomes more complicated, I need to start having central areas where I produce my ores, but also I need to bring in the things that I need to create those ores. Or mine them, sorry. And because they require fluid mining, things become even more complicated. In normal Factorio, this is accomplished by using trains to deliver a lot of the necessary items to areas that they are needed in. And I fully intend to do this. The trains are kind of far away, and that's partly why I made this big old space here, not because I'm going to put stuff there, but because I'm going to bring things down and use this very large space in the map to do a lot of this ore processing. And it's going to be done in lines. Big old lines. This base is not going to be used forever, but it is a good enough bootstrap while I have it. Thankfully, automated rail transportation is, in fact, in PyScience. It's just a very long way away, and requires a lot of infrastructure to create. But we will get there. At the slow, plodding pace of 5 per minute, we will eventually make our way down to trains, and indeed through the rest of the massive set of pure PyScience researches that we have to go through. A lot of them, truly. But I'm excited this has opened up a new stage in our work. But for now, that's it for today's episode. In the next episode, we'll do some PyScience research and probably get some better metal processing going, which will in particular require borax, but I mean, who knows, maybe we'll start with coal, I don't know, we'll find out. But it will be an exciting new stage. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. I hope you enjoyed!